My parents rebranded the family auto shop that I built for years under my lazy brother's name. So I rented my own place, built a real business, and watched them beg me to save theirs. Hey, Reddit, I don't usually post on here. I just scroll, read drama, and mind my business. But things at home went so sideways, I honestly didn't know where else to drop this. So I, 24 female, have been getting the absolute end of the stick in my family since I was a kid. My younger brother, Ryan, 22, is the golden child who can literally do no wrong in my parents' eyes. The favoritism in our house is so blatant, I'm surprised they didn't hang a sign over my bed that said backup plan. I'm not exaggerating. This is some real, you're just the spare kind of crap. Let me break this down for you guys. I've been working in our family's auto shop since I was 13. No pay, no perks, just your learning responsibility. While other kids were at the skate park or playing Xbox, I was under rusty F-5050s in 100-degree heat pulling brake rotors and trying not to inhale 40 years of dust and rust. And Ryan, he didn't touch a wrench until he was 19. Even then, it was only to pose for a photo while I did the work. No lie, dude posted a pic of himself standing next to a car I fixed and captioned it, "Busy day at the shop." Busy doing what? Breathing? I handled real jobs, engine swaps, suspension rebuilds, manual clutch replacements. When I was 17, I rebuilt a transmission solo. Ryan once spilled coolant and asked if it would stain his shoes. I wish I was kidding. Since turning 18, I've been expected to work full-time in the shop and also pay $400 a month to live at home. Yep, $400 for the same room I grew up in with a broken ceiling fan and a door that doesn't even close all the way. Meanwhile, Ryan lives rent-free. He eats the food I help buy, runs up the electric bill with his gaming setup, and still acts like he's doing us a favor just by existing. When I finally brought it up like, hey, maybe Ryan should help out too, I got hit with the classic, he's still figuring things out speech. From the same people who told me to be a woman when I had a panic attack at work and threw up in the oil bay. The double standards are Olympic level. In high school, I had to keep a 3.5 GPA, work weekends at the shop, and was expected to save for college. Ryan barely passed math, skipped class constantly, and once crashed Dad's truck into a dumpster because he was bored. What did he get? A boys will be boys and a new iPhone. I went to trade school, worked part-time, paid off my student loans early, and never once asked them for a dime. You know what I got after graduating? A half-hearted, good job and a coupon to Chili's. Not even a gift card. A coupon. Last month, Ryan got promoted. Let me set the scene. I walk into work like usual, coffee in one hand, schedule in the other, and there's a brand new sign hanging above the front counter, R&R Performance, managed by Ryan. No joke. New sign, new logo, even branded t-shirts. They didn't tell me, didn't warn me, just flipped the script overnight and handed the title of manager to the guy who once called a catalytic converter that hot tube thingy. Hot tube. I laughed out loud thinking it was a joke. My dad just said, Ryan's stepping up. He's got the vision. My mom chimed in with, and you're more of the hands-on type. This is a good balance. So let me get this straight. I bust my ass in that shop for 10 years, and now I'm the girl who gets to stay in the back and make things work. While Golden Boy takes credit, talks to customers, and posts selfies about being a business owner. Every time a customer compliments the work, Ryan says, thanks, man. We try our best. We? This dude wouldn't know a torque spec if it was tattooed on his forearm. And of course, my parents are fully leaning into it. You and your brother make such a great team, my mom said last week. Team? This isn't a team. This is me running a marathon while Ryan rides a scooter across the finish line and takes the trophy. It gets worse. Ryan started throwing his weight around, told me I should clean up the shop more and that presentation is everything, then tried to correct me in front of a customer while I was explaining what was wrong with their AC compressor. The look I gave him could have melted steel, but my parents backed him up. He's just trying to be helpful, my dad said. He's learning. Yeah, maybe he should have learned that before he started calling himself a manager. Now I hear whispers that they're thinking of transitioning leadership fully to Ryan in the next year. Apparently, he's been really showing potential. I'm the one fixing everything. He's the one sipping iced coffee in the office pretending to email vendors. I know what you're thinking. Why not just leave? Trust me, I've thought about it. But I've got bills, I've got a car loan, and until I finish saving up for my own space and tools, I'm stuck in this joke of a family business where the joke is always me. But they don't know what I'm planning. I'm done being the background girl. So now we've got this brand new sign on the shop window, R&R Performance, managed by Ryan. And suddenly everyone's acting like we're the Fast and Furious franchise. Except nothing changed. Except now Ryan thinks he's Vin Diesel, and I'm just that girl who does the heavy lifting. And by heavy lifting, I mean everything. Since the rebrand, Ryan's been doing this thing where he walks around with a clipboard and pretends he's checking inventory. He doesn't even know what half the part numbers mean. I watched him stand in front of the same stack of rotors for 10 minutes, fake nodding while scrolling through Instagram. He takes selfies from the office like he's in some tech startup, not a grease-stained garage where the bathroom hasn't had hot water in 3 years. And every time a customer walks in, he slaps on that fake CEO tone. Welcome to R&R. We're here to take care of you. Like, bro, the only thing you've taken care of is finishing off the last soda in the mini fridge that I paid for. Meanwhile, I'm still the one underneath cars getting my knuckles busted on rusty bolts. I'm the one who stays late when jobs go over. I'm the one who handles the pissed-off guy whose alternator was supposed to be done by Thursday. And when Ryan screws something up, like ordering the wrong filter for a Civic and installing it on a Corolla, I'm the one who eats the blame. But here's where it really starts getting fun. A couple weeks after the sign goes up, my mom pulls me aside while I'm mid-break job and asks if I can help float a few of the shop expenses this month. Says, we're behind on vendor payments because Ryan's still learning the billing process, which is code for, Ryan forgot to pay the invoices and we need you to cover it like always. She's asking me to pay for his screw-up. I tell her no. I was polite about it, but I said I've got my own bills, and I'm already doing more than my share. She looks at me like I just kicked the family dog. Later that night, I get hit with the trifecta. Dad knocks on my door, gives the "we're all in this together" speech, and my mom joins in and says, I just don't understand what happened to the sweet girl who used to help her family without complaining. Right. That kid got replaced the second you gave her job title to a clown with good hair and zero discipline. But it gets even better. My aunt calls me, says she heard I was being difficult and creating tension at work, says family needs to stick together and that maybe I'm just feeling left out now that Ryan's finally stepping up. This lady lives 5 towns over and hasn't been in our shop in years. Suddenly, she's got opinions. Turns out Ryan's been running his mouth, telling the whole family that I've been moody and negative and resisting change. He tells them I don't like seeing him succeed. And my parents, instead of shutting it down, they're nodding along. I overheard my dad on the phone with a cousin saying, it's been a tough transition. Mandy's struggling to let go of control, like I'm some washed-up dictator being forced into retirement. Not the girl who's been keeping this entire operation from collapsing since she was a teenager. So now I'm paying rent, busting my back, getting 0 credit, and being painted as the villain because I'm not cheering for the same guy who's been coasting his entire life. And Ryan, he's loving it. He comes in late, skips lunch shifts, takes 3-hour supplier meetings that are really just him driving to Starbucks to take mirror pics in the parking lot, then shows up with some recycled TikTok motivational quote like, leadership is about vision, not labor. He said that out loud while I was elbow deep in a Subaru's engine bay fixing his misdiagnosis. Then came the family dinner. My mom set it up. Said it'd be good bonding time. I figured, whatever. I'll show up, eat, and smile. Nope. Dinner turns into a Ryan fan club meeting. Ryan's been working so hard lately. Ryan's really finding himself. Ryan's got a mind for business. Even my grandmother said, I'm proud of how far he's come. How far? Far from what? The couch? I finally lost it when my dad raised his glass and said, here's to the future of R&R, Ryan's leadership. I looked around like someone was going to speak up. No one did. So I said, cool. So I guess the girl who actually runs the shop will just keep doing the heavy lifting while Golden Boy plays boss in the office. Dead silence. Ryan, trying to be slick, goes, come on, sis, don't make this weird. It's a family business. I replied, yeah, one I've been running while you nap and post motivational memes. That didn't go over well. After it, my mom came to my room and said, you embarrassed us. Ryan's doing his best. If you can't support your brother, maybe you need some time to think about your role in the business. Think about my role? Lady, I am the business. But okay, if they want to push me out, they better be ready for what happens next. Because if I'm not family to them unless I'm useful, then I'm going to stop being useful real fast. So after that dinner turned Ryan hype party, I kept my head down and went back to work. Not for them, for the clients. The regulars who trusted me to actually fix their cars, not smile and pose next to them. Guys who brought their trucks in because they knew I gave a damn, not because of some logo slapped on the wall by a kid who still calls the check engine light a vibe killer. I was clocking 10-hour days, sometimes more, while Ryan started coming in later and leaving earlier. First, he was handling marketing. Then it became networking lunches. By the third week, he stopped showing up on Fridays altogether, said he needed mental reset days. I haven't had a day off in 3 months, but apparently I'm the one with the bad attitude. They started treating me like some disgruntled employee instead of the girl who kept this shop from burning to the ground every time Ryan installed something backwards. When invoices went missing, you should be more organized. When a customer got pissed because Ryan forgot to order their part, don't throw your brother under the bus. My parents were deep in the Kool-Aid. Mom started leaving articles on the kitchen counter about how to support your ambitious child. Every single one was clearly about Ryan. Dad started talking like we were a Fortune 500 startup instead of a barely break-even 3-bay garage. And then they asked me for money. Let me say that again. They asked me for money. Not in a, hey, can you cover dinner kind of way. In a, we're making big plans for the shop and we'd love for you to invest in the future kind of way. Like I was some outside donor being offered a chance to buy into the brand I bled for. It started with my dad casually mentioning some upgrades, repainting the front lot, new signage, redoing the waiting room, getting branded uniforms with embroidered names. Embroidered. For a shop that still has a bucket catching roof leaks in Bay 2. I asked who was paying for all this. He looked me dead in the face and said, well, Ryan's got great ideas, but not much capital yet, and your mother and I are tapped out. But you've been saving. No shame. Just threw it out there like I should be flattered. Saving for what? I asked. And he hits me with, you're not married. You don't pay rent outside. It's not like you have a mortgage. Why not help the family grow? I stared at him for a good 5 seconds. Not angry, not even shocked anymore, just taking it in. Because here's the thing. They don't see me as a person. I'm a resource, a dependable one, a walking wrench with a bank account. I told him I'd think about it. I didn't. I just started moving differently. First thing I did was separate my savings into a new bank account under a different institution, something they wouldn't recognize if they tried to go snooping. You think they wouldn't? These are the same people who once opened my mail by mistake 3 times in 1 month. Then I changed the lock code on my toolbox. Ryan complained it made the shop feel less like a team. I said nothing, just kept tightening the screws behind my smile. I even started keeping my own log of customer invoices and payments, not because I thought I'd need it, just because my gut told me to. And my gut's been screaming since the day they put Ryan's name on the damn window. 2 weeks later, my mom cornered me in the kitchen, stood between me and the exit with a manila envelope in her hands. She had this fake sweet tone like she was trying to sell me vitamins. Your dad and I were talking, she started. And since Ryan's taking on more of the business duties, we think it makes sense to restructure ownership. I didn't say anything. I already knew what was coming. She held up the envelope like it was a gift. This is just paperwork, nothing dramatic. It transfers management responsibility to Ryan so he can sign contracts and handle shop decisions without needing Dad's signature every time. I opened it, read through it, and noticed one very specific line that basically stated, all future profits and business rights fall under the name Ryan Havernell as primary operating owner. I closed it, handed it back to her, and said, no. That's it, just no. She blinked like the word didn't compute. It's not a big deal. You'll still be part of things. We're just making it easier for Ryan to handle the business side. You mean easier for him to own the business while I fix the messes? She frowned. Why are you making this so hard? And that's when it clicked. They weren't just trying to push me into the background anymore. They were trying to get me to hand over everything, quietly, legally, willingly, so they could say it was my choice. I didn't yell, didn't argue. I just walked past her and went to my room. That night I didn't sleep. I stayed up downloading every invoice I'd logged, every customer order I'd personally handled, copies of vendor payments I processed, screenshots of text convos with clients thanking me for repairs Ryan claimed credit for. I put everything on a drive and stored it in my glove box. Because now it wasn't just disrespect, it was theft. And they thought I was too passive to notice. 2 days later, my dad tried a different approach, caught me after we closed and said, you've got to start thinking long-term. Ryan has the energy for the future. You've got the skill, but he's the face. I asked him, so what am I? The hands? He didn't answer. That weekend, my aunt, the same one who thinks Facebook is a reliable news source, called to check in. And by check in, I mean pressure me. She said my parents were so stressed and that it's not fair for me to hold back the business out of pride. Then she hit me with, "You're not a child anymore. Stop acting like one." And that's when I knew they'd told the whole family I was refusing to sign because I was being petty, immature. That I was the reason things were getting delayed, not the golden child who can't even align a tire machine without someone holding his hand. But fine. They wanted to play dirty? I could get dirty too, just smarter. That night, I talked to a customer, Brian, who also happened to be a small business attorney. He'd mentioned it once after I fixed his AC unit in a Ford Edge. I asked him some questions, told him hypothetically, if someone worked at a shop their whole life, helped build it, had no ownership, and was suddenly being pushed out, what could they do? Brian didn't even hesitate. Depends. Got proof you helped run things? Transactions? Witnesses? A paper trail? I sent him the folder. He called me back the next night and said, "You've got enough here to blow a hole through their plans. Don't sign anything. Don't even say anything. Just let them keep talking." So that's what I did. The next week, Ryan rolled out new protocols, told me I needed to clock in using an app he set up, report every job to him, and clear parts orders through his approval. I said, "Cool." Then started forwarding every conversation to my own email. They still thought I was playing along. I let them. But the more they tried to edge me out, the more I stacked the receipts. When Ryan accidentally underbilled a client by $300 and blamed me, I had the text trail showing him confirming the wrong price. When Dad told Uncle Rick that I refused to handle the marketing side, I had a calendar full of meetings I scheduled with ad reps, back when Ryan thought SEO was a car part. It all went in the folder. And still I didn't say a word. Because what's more dangerous than someone you underestimate? Someone who's been watching you lie, taking notes the whole time. It finally happened on a Monday. I had just finished patching a cracked radiator on a 12 Chevy Tahoe that Ryan told the customer probably just needed a flush. It didn't. I was sweating, tired, and one spark plug wire away from walking out when my dad called me into the office. Not the usual, "Hey, come here" thing. He actually said, "Let's have a sit down," which he's never said in his life unless someone died or something big was about to go down. I walked in and immediately knew the envelope was already on the desk. My mom was sitting in the corner with that fake soft look she always puts on before she tries to guilt you into doing something that isn't in your best interest. Ryan? He wasn't there. He never shows up for the dirty parts. He's only around for the photo ops and back pats when the dust settles. Dad clears his throat like he's about to give a press conference. We've thought long and hard about this, and we really think it's time to make the shift official. You'll always be a part of the shop, but Ryan needs to step into ownership. It's his time. His time. I didn't flinch, didn't blink. I just sat down across from him and said, "What's in the envelope?" He slides it over. Same thing as before. New version of the transfer papers. A whole lot of legalese. And a signature line with my name at the bottom. This one was tighter, more formal, like they'd gotten someone to clean it up and make it harder to argue. "Nothing changes for you," he says, like that's supposed to sweeten the deal. "You'll still have your job. You'll still run the bay. We just need this to move forward on some licensing updates." I flipped through it, didn't read every word, didn't have to. I'd already sent the draft to Brian, the business attorney. He broke it down in plain English a week ago. "They're trying to make your brother majority owner. Once you sign, they can fire you legally any time, and you'll have no claim to anything, not even the name." I closed the folder, sat back in the chair. "Not signing this." My mom leaned forward. "Honey, we need you to think about the bigger picture." I looked at her. "I am. That's why I'm not signing." Dad's jaw tensed. "Do you want to be part of this family or not?" There it was. The threat. It always shows up when guilt fails. "You know what?" I said. "Let's talk about that." I pulled out my phone, opened my file folder, and dropped a printed copy of my own onto the desk, labeled Shop Records, Labor and Operations Log. Mandy. Their faces shifted real quick. "This is every job I've done since I was 18, I said. Every invoice, every customer follow-up, every supply run, every vendor call, every part installed that Ryan forgot to order. All of it, time-stamped, signed off. Not just names, details, pictures, screenshots." Dad reached for the folder and I pulled it back. "Nah, you don't get to flip through it like it's homework. You had 10 years to notice." I looked at both of them. "You want to talk about ownership? This shop only runs because of me, and you're trying to cut me out like I'm the help. Mom started doing that throat-clear voice crack thing like she was about to fake cry. I shut that down real quick. You're not going to guilt me this time. You knew what you were doing. You just thought I wouldn't fight back. Dad leaned back. So what? You're threatening us now? I smirked. Nope. I'm giving you a chance to fix it. You want Ryan to be involved? Cool. Make him earn it. Make him work full-time. Pass an ASE test. Show up more than 3 times a week. Until then, he doesn't get to be manager just because he's your favorite. Silence. Dead cold silence. I stood up, grabbed the manila envelope, tore it in half right down the middle, and dropped it in the trash. I'll keep working, but I'm done pretending this is fair. You want me out? Say it out loud. Fire me. But if you try to screw me again behind my back, I've got copies of everything, including your tax shortcuts, Dad. His eyes went wide. So did hers. Yeah, you forgot I helped you file them back in 2020. Kept the emails. Just know, I'm not the weak one here. I'm just quiet. And then I left, went back to the bay, finished the job, cleaned my hands, and went home like it was any other Monday. Ryan said to me later that night, Sis, you're blowing this way out of proportion. I didn't even know they were doing that. I left him on red. Next day, nobody said a word to me. Not my parents, not Ryan. Just walked around acting like nothing happened. But the energy shifted. No more paperwork, no more surprise meetings, just tension. Which was fine by me, because they'd finally seen it. I wasn't just the hands, I was the spine. And they just learned what happens when you try to walk without it. The silence didn't last long. For a few days after I shut down the ownership grab, it was all awkward smiles and forced small talk. Mom would ask if I wanted more eggs like nothing had happened. Dad would grunt, morning, and disappear behind the paper. Ryan stayed out of my way, which was honestly the smartest move he's ever made. But then things started shifting. First, the schedule got weird. I showed up Monday morning and found a handwritten calendar taped to the wall in the office. My name was only on it for 2 days that week. Ryan's name was on every day, plus a note that said, Ryan will oversee front desk plus customer service. I asked Dad what was up. He mumbled something about needing to reduce overlap and make room for new hires. New hires. We hadn't hired anyone. It was just me getting phased out again. But now they were trying to make it look like a business decision. I didn't say anything. I just started logging my hours off the record, tracking when I showed up, what I worked on, and who requested me directly. Because while they were trying to erase me on paper, I was still the one the customers wanted. The second shift came from the family side. One night I got a text from my cousin Mark. Hey, Mandy, I heard you're making things hard for your folks. Everything okay? I stared at that for a full minute before replying. Define making things hard. Mark told me he'd had dinner with my parents over the weekend. Apparently, they'd painted this whole picture about how I was the one trying to take the business, how I was jealous of Ryan's success, how I was emotionally unstable and acting out. I laughed when I read that part. Acting out. I haven't raised my voice in that house since high school. I'd been keeping my head down, working, staying quiet, and now suddenly I was the villain in some pity party story they cooked up for the relatives. I told Mark what really happened, sent him screenshots, invoices, the manila folder PDF. He didn't reply for an hour. When he finally did, all he said was, Damn, that's not the version they told me. One by one, I started getting weird messages from extended family. Not direct attacks, just passive crap like, and try to see it from their perspective. Or, maybe it's time to let go and move on. Let go of what? My work? My name? My piece of the shop I helped build? Nah, I wasn't going anywhere. So I kept showing up. Every time they slashed my hours, I still came in. I stayed late, took photos of every job I completed, emailed the client list I built to my personal address. I started building a portfolio without telling anyone. Then came the real kick. They changed the shop password. We had a shared login for our POS system. One morning I showed up to find the tablet locked. Password invalid. Ryan said, Oh yeah, we switched systems. Dad said it was to streamline. So I called Dad, asked for the new login. He paused, then said, We're trying to keep things simplified for management. If you need something processed, just go through Ryan. They wanted me off the books completely. So I switched gears. That day, I took a walk 2 blocks down to an old warehouse that had been empty since COVID. I'd seen a for lease sign on it for months. I called the number, asked about rates, space, noise, zoning, parking availability. It was doable. Not today, not even next week, but soon. And now I had a reason, because the final straw came Friday. I got home late, had stayed behind after hours fixing an alternator that Ryan couldn't diagnose. I went to shower, came out, and found my room half empty. Not trashed, just stripped. My books? Gone. A few of my tools? Missing. My laptop? Unplugged and sitting on the kitchen table. I asked Mom what happened. She looked up from her phone and said, "We figured it was time to start cleaning things up. You don't need all that stuff cluttering the room anymore." Cluttering? Like my personal things were a mess they had to deal with. I said nothing. Just grabbed my laptop, walked back into my room, locked the door. Then I opened that email draft I'd been saving for months. To Brian, the business lawyer. Subject: confirming services and timeline. Body: I'm ready. Let's move forward with the paperwork for independent operations. That night, I also emailed 3 clients I had long-term repair relationships with, told them I might be shifting locations soon and would let them know the details if they were interested in following. All 3 replied within the hour. Yes, just tell us where. That's when I knew. They could mess with my schedule, cut my hours, block me from systems, but they couldn't erase who actually kept the shop alive. And they definitely couldn't stop what was coming next. 2 months after they tried pushing me out, I signed a lease on that warehouse I saw down the block, the old one with the cracked floors and busted overhead light. It wasn't pretty, but it had 4 bays, a working lift, and enough space to breathe, without Ryan breathing down my neck with a GoPro. Mark helped me set it up. He showed up the first weekend with gloves, pizza, and a giant Bluetooth speaker that only played 90s rock. We spent the whole Saturday scrubbing the floors, patching drywall, and setting up my toolboxes. He didn't ask for anything, didn't make speeches, just said, "If anyone deserves to build something real, it's you." Mark and his girlfriend let me stay rent-free until I got on my feet. Gave me keys, a place at the dinner table, and silence when I needed it. I hadn't felt that kind of respect under a roof in years. 3 weeks later, Mandy's Auto Repair opened for business. No ribbon cutting, no Facebook event. Just a white banner with red block letters, a Craigslist post, and some text to customers I trusted. That first week, I had 5 cars. Second week, 10. Word got around. I kept my head down, showed up early, stayed late, took every job seriously, no matter how small. I didn't waste time filming content or pushing trendy BS. I fixed cars the right way, charged fair, and treated people like they mattered. By the second month, I had enough to rent a 1-bedroom apartment above a barber shop 3 blocks away. Small place, ugly carpet. But it had a deadbolt, a quiet street, and no yelling. I moved out of Mark's, took him and his girl to dinner, and promised him the first free oil change. For life. And then came the part I didn't even plan for. And buying the old shop. It was Ryan's idea, apparently. He'd burnt out fast. Couldn't handle the pressure. Barely kept the doors open. Customers stopped coming after he started screwing up invoices and overcharging people for labor he didn't even understand. My dad called me himself, asked if I'd consider taking the shop off their hands. I said no, straight up, no hesitation. That's when the begging started. They said things were tough, real tough. No business, no money, no backup plan. The shop was dead, tools rusting, bays empty, bills piling up. My dad tried to guilt trip me with, "It's still your family's name on that deed." My mom jumped in a few days later saying, "We just need a fresh start. You could help us get back on track." I still said no. They weren't asking me to buy it. They wanted me to work there, fix their mess, save their pride, for free. I wasn't going to crawl back just so they could pretend they were the ones who built something. I had my own name now, my own shop, my own customers. I didn't need theirs, and I wasn't about to be their safety net. So they gave up. The place stayed closed for weeks. Eventually, they had no choice. They sold it. But here's the funny part. Turns out my name was still attached to part of the original lease agreement from when I was underage and helping full-time. Some technicality my dad forgot to update in the system. The city flagged it. A few weeks later, I got a check in the mail, my legal share from the sale. They didn't even send it. The authorities did. I cashed it without hesitation. Took every dime and dumped it into expanding my shop. New lifts, better tools, a full paint booth, and a waiting area that didn't smell like burnt rubber and regret. As for them, I don't know what happened exactly. I heard through Mark that they moved into a much smaller place. Ryan's been hopping jobs. My parents tried selling some old equipment online to stay afloat. They went from running a full shop to barely scraping by. Meanwhile, I'm booked out 2 weeks in advance. People drive from the next town over just to get an honest estimate. And I did it without stealing anything. They lost everything trying to build an empire on favoritism. I built mine with my own hands.